Hey, Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm going to talk about this. The Land of the Giants! Between 1968 and 1970, 2 seasons, 51 episodes. And, well, over the last few weeks I've been watching all these again. It's been quite a thing trying to get all these episodes in, watching them, but I've done it. I've watched the 51 episodes, and I'm going to talk about it and why this means such a lot to me, this series. Yes, it's an Irving Allen production. Now, Irving Allen was, in the 60s, the man who brought us Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Lost in Space, which is perhaps his most famous one, and Time Tunnel, and this, his last one, between, as I say, 1968 and 1970. Now, as a child, I absolutely loved this. At school, the talking points were Batman, of course, and this. We talked about this. It was on the television. 51 episodes over those years was a lot at the time going through the TV, and it was an hour on the TV, including commercials, and it played quite a part, anticipating every week the episodes. And I think maybe when you look back at things as a child and now as an adult, I might see this series very differently. But I can see now why I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's a lot of episodes, and I suspect some people might say, hey, it's just repeated itself again and again. But no, you get an impression, and the truth is when you actually look and delve into this series a lot, you find out a lot more about it. Yeah. So Irving Allen's Land of the Giants was an expensive series to produce. Apparently, it cost $250,000 per episode, which is a hell of a lot of money. But Irving Allen, he was known for various trying to save money. Because what made this expensive was all the props that they had to make. And he was very clever with the special effects. People look at it and say, hey, that's a bit, No, the special effects are really good. And he was able to incorporate, stock footage, some location work, but he's just very clever the way he put this together as the producer. He directed the first episode, and then there was about 5 directors, I think, who directed all the episodes. And also, I think an important part is when the actors had a very grueling schedule, because at the same time, in a day, for instance, they might actually be doing 2 episodes, filming scenes in 2 different episodes. Plus, let's say there was a lot of, certainly for about 3 or 4 of the actors, they had to do a lot of physical stuff. There were stuntmen, but they actually did the stunts themselves. There's a lot of rope climbing, they said. Anyhow, let me just give you a list of the characters. Gary Conway played Captain Steve Burton. Then there was Don Matheson, who played Mark Wilson. Then the young lad was played by Stephen Angrim. His name was Barry, and it is Barry. Then we had Don Marshall. People might remember him from Galileo 7, original Star Trek series. He's quite important because he's a black guy, and at the time in television, we only had Nichelle Nichols as a leading black character. he's been recognised over the years, and he embraced that. Sadly, he died in 2016. But he's seen as an important trailblazer there. A leading black character in a series was quite a big deal. That's another plus to the series. Then we had Dina Lund played Valerie, and Heather Young played Betty. And then they always said extra special guest this week. And even though he was a regular, he was like the sort of villain, but not a villain as he developed. That was Kurt Kazar, who played Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh was a great character, absolutely wonderful character. But the writers, in the end, were quite restrained, because one of the things in Lost in Space is, the villain character. He gets crazy the way they dominate the story, and it loses a lot of things. So they kind of restrained Fitzhugh's character, the Fitzhugh character, and he developed into a likable rogue a villain, if you want. But he wasn't a villain always. He changed. The whole thing changed. So when I look at all these characters, they start off as like strangers, but in the end, they're like a family. They come together, or not, but they do as a family because they have to for survival. And you start to get to care for the characters. Giving this number of episodes, you actually grow to really care for the characters. And the Fitzhugh character, though he's, sort of cowardly sometimes, always wanting to make money, thinking of himself, so selfish, he changes over the series, and he develops a really nice relationship with the lad Barry in it, and it's really good. I mean, nowadays, I don't think you get that kind of writing as much, the way they've done it. And I think that's another reason why this series engaged more with viewers. Though Lost in Space is often seen as the one, it was more childlike, I think, more aimed at children. I mean, this certainly had a big following for children, but adults could enjoy it. I remember my mum and dad enjoying this as well. And they could do, even though they say, hey, that's a bit funny, but, how they're like, parents. But anyhow, well, in fact, the great thing about Land, this is another reason why I'm promoting this series and why it means such a lot, is it wasn't just a straightforward TV series for children, aimed at children. No, far from it. It wasn't. It actually was a lot more darker, much more darker than any of the other series that Irving Allen produced. And I think it made it more outstanding in many ways. I don't think not everybody's recognised this, but I'm here to promote it and say, if you've never seen Land of the Giants, you should see it. You should watch it, because it's such a good series. I mean, it's amazing, I say all those special effects that they produce, all those sets, it's just absolutely amazing. It really is. From what they had, you don't have to have computer generated effects, you can do a lot by clever camera work, by clever building of props, and just all sorts of things that they were able to use techniques. And I think that's a real credit to this series. Again, I think the only sad thing for me about this series is, I suppose it was inevitable, is that it got cancelled. 51 episodes, which it is a nice chunk of episodes, but it means there's no conclusion. I mean, that often does happen nowadays, and has happened, some things don't even get a season, hardly, and that's it. And because 20th Century Fox Television, as we know nowadays. Well, it's not now. It's going with Disney and all that. But the Fox certainly had a reputation of cancelling series, as always has done. Didn't have much time, so we got 2 out of this, but we never know if they get back to Earth at all. So that's it. The thing is, it's supposedly set in 1983, and as I say, they get stranded on this planet. They crash land, they go through some sort of electrical storm, and everything is 12 times bigger. That's why they call the inhabitants giants. Now, at the beginning of the series, of the first season's episodes, just at the beginning, the giants are perhaps portrayed a little bit differently. They're sluggish, they're slow, they hardly speak. I think they were trying to portray a more alien element to them. But then they sort of changed direction in that. And we've got like alien, the giants are really just like Earth people, just giant Earth people. And the society now we learn is, that's another good thing about this. At the beginning of the season, it's always a matter of are they going to find the way of getting off this planet. They're exploring, it's all about survival and what have you. But then, as the series develops, we learn a lot more about the giant society, and it's kind of a totalitarian society, and you have this special investigation department, and always you have to produce a villain-like character that the giants have, and this is Inspector Kobek. He becomes like a nemesis. He didn't appear in every episode, but he does appear in episodes in the first season and in the second season. But I say not every episode, but he does pop up as a regular giant character. So that makes it interesting as well. And we learn that this authoritarian society does have people who are against it, fighting for freedoms, and they sometimes help the little people, as they call our friends, the little people, yeah. And the little people help them as well, because I suppose you could say it's in their interest, because basically there's a reward out for capturing these little people. The real thing is the giants want from our heroes is the technology. They want to know all the technology advances, because theirs haven't developed further enough. I mean, to me, the giant society resembles a sort of 1950s kind of world. And I think that would definitely put it in that. It's basically America. I mean, you even have jazz and, a lot of American, the cars and that. It's all very American. But I say it's that sort of period in time. But they want the technology, and they think that they can get it from our crashed landing heroes. Yes, the family. Hey, yes, that's what they think. So we have that. And as a result, as it develops, you get to know more about the society and the people. And we learn, like in our society, there's good people and there's bad people who are greedy, selfish, do anything. And this is where a lot of the darker stuff comes in. You get sometimes very dark stories about betrayal, about families, about how they do things which we don't like, selfish things which at the cost of other people, and they don't care. and people are liars, thieves, murderers. They just want to steal, and just basically be not good not be good giants. I can't say the humans, but yeah, you see what I mean. So we get a lot of that, and it's not as children friendly in that sense. As I say, the crew as well becomes very say united, but sometimes they have decisions to make which do divide them. As I say, it is a family, and there can be bitterness between them, and it's really quite interesting watching it. As I say, seeing that things I see now I didn't perhaps see when I was watching it originally. But I love the adventure, and to me it's not a slow pace. I suspect those some people say it's a bit slow. That no, it's not slow. When you're developing characters within the context of adventures, then it's great. And there is other stories, I've got to say this, that are very science fiction orientated as well, which I like. There are not just adventure, there's sci-fi, like people from the future coming back, and all sorts of interesting ideas pop up, whichever sci-fi elements as well in stories. There's lots of stories, so that's great. The other thing I discovered, you start to discover a lot about this, is I'll just say that I think the first season's introduction I really love, and the music. Guess who composed the music? Yes, John Williams. Would you believe it? John Williams composed the music for Land of the Giants. Look it up. Go on YouTube. It's fantastic music. And the introduction, the animation, the way it fits then into the introducing all the characters that we get to know every week. It is fantastic. I absolutely love that introduction. They changed it in the second season. I don't think it's quite as good, but the music and everything is still there. So that's great. That is still... I love that fact that John Williams did compose this. That's great. Absolutely wonderful. Also, I discovered... and I do remember at the time, there was a lot more merchandise going around, books, jigsaws, all sorts of games, board games, annuals. There was one annual, produced. And now I remember this because of Batman. They had the bubble gum card collectors thing. So you get these cards, and you had your bubble gum with them, and you'd open them up, and you had your collector's cards, and there were some for the Land of the Giant, apparently, and I never saw them. I can't remember. If I had done, I'd been going mad wanting them, because I did with Batman ones, always wanted the Batman collector's cards, But there were some for Land of the Giants, and I looked on eBay, and there were some actually still available. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is, as you can imagine, with some of these things, they're very expensive, extremely expensive. But I think it's great that there was merchandise, and also I'm a great fan of TV21 in that era. Watching Thunderbirds and all that. It brought, I've got to get TV21, and that was the comic that we had and lived and breathed. And Land of the Giants, there was a comic strip of that running in TV21 as well, which I absolutely think is great. I remember it so well. Yeah, TV21. It's another conversation to have about comics. Yeah, that really is. Anyhow, I'm still going on. Basically, this is the best we're ever going to get. And it looks good. I put it on my Panasonic 4K player, and this is brilliant. The transfer that they've done This is a Region 2 copy by Revelation Films. There is a Region 1 American version. So it's the complete season 1 and 2 DVD. And I'll tell you, I was so impressed. You know, people put it on DVD, but I'm afraid it's never going to get a Blu-ray release. I doubt it very much. You never know, but I do doubt it, you know. I do doubt it, but this is great, and I'm very happy with this. I can watch the episodes. So, I don't know, I could talk about a lot more about it, but I better stop now. But I say, this is great. Honestly, this is reet grand. It's reet grand. And I loved it. It was another trip back and more nostalgia. And it's great. It really is. So, if you haven't ever seen it, and some of you probably haven't and never heard of it, then have a look into it, because you may be pleasantly surprised. I may not be, but I would. So there it is. The Land of the Giants. Irwin Allen. And look into his history as well. He's very interesting as a producer. Produced by Irwin Allen. What a guy. But here we are. Land of the Giants. So, all I would say is, as usual, you know, if you're interested in what I'm doing, subscribe. If you like this, well, give it a like. In other words, I'll say, I'll see thee, and I'll see thee again.